సో ప్రాబ్లం ఏంటి అంటే ఇది చెప్పాను కదా, ఈ స్క్రాల్ బార్ ఇది వస్తుంది. ఇప్పుడు మీకు కాదు, స్క్రీన్ రెజల్యూషన్ దాంట్లో ఉంటుంది, ఏది మన ప్రొజెక్టర్ దాంట్లో ఉంటుంది. అది ఒకసారి ట్రై చేయండి.
ప్రొజెక్టర్
నాకు ఇప్పుడు ఇబ్బంది. ఒక్క నిమిషం నేను చెప్తున్నాను. ఇప్పుడు ప్రొజెక్టర్ లో డైరెక్ట్ స్క్రీన్ రెజల్యూషన్, ఒక నిమిషం నేను ఇక్కడ చేంజ్ చేసినాక మళ్ళీ మీరు ప్రొజెక్టర్ చేంజ్ చేయొచ్చు. ఒక నిమిషం. ఒకసారి ప్రొజెక్టర్ లో నార్మల్ ఒకసారి మీరు స్క్రీన్ రెజల్యూషన్ అని ఉంటుంది, ఒకసారి అది చెక్ చేయండి. ఒక నిమిషం.
హలో సార్,
అది స్క్రీన్ రెజల్యూషన్ అక్కడ ఒకసారి ప్రొజెక్టర్ది సెట్ చేయండి.
ఆస్పెక్ట్ రేషియో సార్,
ఏంటండి? ఆస్పెక్ట్ రేషియో. యా, అవునవును.
ఎంతలో పెట్టాలి సార్ అది?
నాకు అవన్నీ గుర్తులేదు, ఒకసారి ఏదైనా చేంజ్ చేయండి, ఏం కాదు.
మైక్రోసాఫ్ట్ ఇది ఓకేనా? ఇప్పుడు ఆటోమేటిక్ ఏముండదు. ఏం అక్కడ అవి తగ్గియాలంటే ఎట్లా? సార్ అది రేషియో, అదే సార్ రేషియో, అది చూసిన సార్ తగ్గిస్తుంది. అదే రిజల్యూషన్ మొత్తం చిన్నగా కనపడుతుంది సార్ మనకు అప్పుడు బాగుండేది సార్. అది వాళ్ళ ప్రీవియస్ బ్యాచ్ చెప్తున్నాం కదా సార్, సేమ్ అదే ఉండింది సార్. రేషియోస్ కూడా అన్ని అప్పుడు బాగానే ఉంది సార్. నిన్నటి నుంచే అదే మీరు తగ్గించాలి కదా సార్ రిజల్యూషన్ అనేది. అది ఓకే 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 సార్. ఓకే సార్. ఇది అది అవును అవును సార్. ఓకే ఓకే సార్. ఓకే సార్. అవును అవును ఓకే. అవును అవును అవును. కింది పార్ట్ అనేది మనకి సగం కనబడుతుంది. నార్మల్ ఉంటుంది. అచ్చా అచ్చా. అవును అవును సార్. ఇది మాకు ఈరోజు ఉండదు కదా సార్, ఈరోజు సెట్ చేస్తాం అది ప్రాజెక్ట్. ఈరోజు క్లాస్కి ఒక్కటి మనం ఇలా పెట్టేస్తాం రెజల్యూషన్. నేను అదే ప్రొజెక్టర్ అని ప్రొజెక్ట్ నేను ఇదే అనుకున్నాను సార్ ఇక్కడ. ఆల్మోస్ట్ వచ్చేసింది ఒక గుణాలు రావచ్చు సార్. 3-4 మెంబర్స్ రావాలి. వచ్చారు సార్, వస్తున్నారు సార్. అయితే వాళ్ళే సార్. నేను చెప్పాను వాళ్ళకి నిన్న కూడా చెప్పాను. ఈరోజు నేను చెప్పాను సార్ స్ట్రిక్ట్ నేను ఈరోజు అంత సెట్ ప్రొజెక్ట్లో సెట్ చేస్తాను సార్. నాకు ఒక్కరోజు అవుతుంది. చేసేస్తాను సార్. నేను ఉంటాను సార్ అక్కడ చాలా ఫ్రేమ్లు పెట్టాను సార్ బయట. ఫ్రేమ్ రాపించుకున్నది నేమ్స్ రానివ్వమని చెప్పాను సార్. ఇది మ్యూట్లో స్టార్ట్ చేయండి సార్. అదే ఇది మ్యూట్లో పెట్టేస్తా సార్. ఆ డౌట్ ఉంటే వాట్సాప్ ఓకే.
Yeah, so hi, so hi everyone. We'll get started. Meanwhile, so others will join. So first, like say 5 to 10 minutes, we'll just give a recap of like all the things what we have discussed yesterday, and then probably right from there, like we'll just continue, say more on the MicroStrategy responsibilities. Like say when we say MicroStrategy yesterday, I've said like there are different roles in it. So when we say we are a developer, when we say we are an architect, when we say are an administrator, right? Or like why this particular three roles has been defined, and what will be each person role, right? So all that particular details we'll be seeing in now as part of today's session. But yeah, I mean to just recap on yesterday. So basically yesterday we discussed on couple of things. So we discussed on what is, say, business intelligence, and apart from, say, business intelligence, say we discussed on MicroStrategy. These are the couple of things we discussed. So first I'll just complete them. So one is MicroStrategy in short, right? We call MSTR. MSTR again stands for MicroStrategy. And then, right, so we've seen something called BI, or like business intelligence. So when we say business intelligence, so what we discussed basically yesterday is, so or like anyone wants to, you can just unmute yourself and you can just provide in your own inputs, even that is also fine. So just anyone over the call, right, you can just tell me, so what is a business intelligence and so what is MicroStrategy, because these are the two things which we discussed yesterday. So anyone wants to provide any inputs or like whatever you understood from yesterday's session on what is business intelligence or what are its components, and when we say BI architecture, what are the different things we have in BI architecture. So guys, like be interactive, just tell me whatever you know. That should be fine. So yesterday we discussed all these particular basics, right? So I just want to know like till which point you have understood, right? So from there, like if you have some questions, I can correct that, and then we'll just continue with today's session. So what is business intelligence and where exactly MicroStrategy fits in a business intelligence?
ఇప్పుడు చెప్పండి స్టార్ట్ చేయండి కొంచెం మ్యూట్ పెట్టినాను.
It is also one of the reporting, total reporting tool, MicroStrategy, and we can use the tool supporting tool, business intelligence. Like, we can analyze the total programming, like, development, and analyzing.
Okay, so you are going to analyze. So analyze what? Again same thing. So yesterday also in the first statement you said analysis, but I said, so you do analysis on what, and then out of that, like what you will get?
And we can get a clear picture, graphical view. Simple, easy method. We can access based on the business person or individual person, whatever they want data, particular data. You can easy way. We have to show easy way in the easy method. That is the only main thing in business intelligence. Particular data, whatever clear data, clear picture we have to show in a tabular view as a graphical view.
Okay. Okay. Fine then. Say so when it is say business intelligence, right? So what we discussed basically is, so whenever we say any BI, right? So this particular BI, as I said, So first thing, just remember, it can be any tool or it can be any process, and this particular tool or this particular process, right? So what it should do basically is, say, it has to or it should be capable for analysis, but analysis on what basically means? On the past data. You will have a past data, or say you will have a analysis the past data. Okay, good. So so say for example, you will have past data or say historical data. So on this particular past data or historical data, so what you do basically is, you are going to perform analysis. Say out of this particular analysis, right? So what it should basically help them, right? It's help them in taking a better business decisions, to take a better business decisions. So better business decisions, right? So if you, I mean, say someone asks you what is business intelligence, you can say this one. So it is a process or it is a tool which helps to analyze the past data in order to take better future decisions. And apart from that, so what we discussed basically is, under this, so what are the different components we will have? So under the BI, right? So what are the different things we'll have under BI? So as part of that, we discussed basically, so under this, you'll have, say, ETL tools, and apart from that, say you'll have something, say for example, querying and reporting tools. So querying and reporting tools, and apart from that, so we'll have the analysis or like visual discovery. So we do something visual analysis or analytics, means displaying the data in a graphical format. And apart from that, so this particular thing also should be helpful in a predictive analysis or future forecasting. Alright, so these are the things. So under BI, these are the different things comes in: ETL tools, then querying and reporting, then like visual analytics, and then predictive analysis. And when it comes to MicroStrategy, so using MicroStrategy, what we do basically is, we do all these particular things. So what we do basically is, MicroStrategy is a business intelligence tool which comes under which umbrella means querying and reporting, which comes under querying and reporting, and in the same thing you can perform visual analytics, and then predictive analysis. And as I said yesterday, so MicroStrategy is a product of which company means, so it is a product of MicroStrategy company which has been established in the year 1989. So they have their own reporting tool which is a MicroStrategy tool. And to learn this particular MicroStrategy, right, so basically I said you require certain prerequisites as well. So we'll get there in details in the today's session. So these are like some basics or like important things from yesterday's class which you should know. Okay, so in MicroStrategy, so we do querying, and then we do reporting, and then basically you'll have some graphical representation of data which is a visual analytics, and then you do a predictive analysis like a future analysis. Fine. So using this particular tool, we are going to create all these things, and this particular reports or this particular analytics is going to help the business to take a better decisions, So what we do basically is, the bottom line, using this tool, we are going to create reports or graphs, as you said from there. So you create a report, or you create a graph, or you create a dashboard. So using this, what we do basically is, so once we create it, we give this to the business user or clients. So those particular business users or clients, right, they are going to make analysis out of it. They are going to make the analysis out of it. Alright. So this is what like I mean on yesterday's class we have discussed. Apart from that, right, so I think second.
Muted.
Yeah, so apart from this, so what we discussed yesterday basically is, so in say MSTR, so what are the different roles we have? So we'll get into that details today in very detail. So under MSTR, you'll have different roles. So first one, so like everyone fits in. So irrespective of your experience, even a fresher, right? So we see that, say a developer. So you'll have different roles. So one is MSTR developer, and then basically you'll have MSTR architect, and apart from architect, so basically you'll have MSTR administrator. So these are the three different roles. Like once you learn MicroStrategy, so you may fit in this particular different roles, but generally right nowadays, every client, right, they're not asking for specific role. They're looking at people who have like exposure in all areas, like say a developer, and then the same person should have say architect knowledge, and then basic into the administration stuff. So this is what the expectations from every client nowadays. And then so basically we'll just learn in details on this particular roles, and then we'll see how the MicroStrategy interface will be there and so on, some more basics today. So fine, before I start with today's session, right, so just want to ask, probably yesterday you have asked few questions, but again you have any pending questions, right? So probably, yeah, you have like another 2-3 minutes. You can just ask me that questions. So before we get started with today's session. So any particular questions on top of your mind, like yesterday evening or like once you're coming to class tomorrow, today, right? So any specific question you have, you can ask me for next couple of minutes. If not, we'll continue with today's session.
Unmuted.
So no questions. Everyone over there, right, in the session. So no one has any questions. Okay, fine. Taking that as no, yeah, probably, right. So we'll just get started. So when we say, yeah, reporting, right? So we'll, discuss more concepts, right, from our next session. So basically, say as this particular MicroStrategy, when I say MicroStrategy, right? So this particular MicroStrategy, we said, right? So using this, what we do basically is we are going to prepare reports. We are going to prepare reports. Reports contains a meaningful information. But again, to create this report, right, so what we require, so what should be the source basically means, again, to create this particular thing, there should be some source to create this particular reports. And the source for MicroStrategy, right, it should be some database. So in real time, there are two types of databases. So one is OLTP and the other one is OLAP. So what is OLTP, what is OLAP, right? So that we'll discuss in a next session. So because it takes an hour. So in real time, there are two types of databases. So one is OLTP, like online transactional processing databases, and the second one is online analytical processing databases. So these are the two different databases. So this particular database, right, can be source for the MicroStrategy reports. So in order to pull different reports, you require some database as a source. That database should contain a data. So generally you can have database or else, right, so you can have some external files as well. External files as in, say you have an Excel sheet which contains some data, or you have some CSV file, so which contains some data, right? So all these particular things also you can just use it. So any external files like say Excel or like say CSV file and so on, right? Or else it can be some particular data which is present in the web, like so on the web you have some particular information, so you need to bring that particular information and develop some particular report or certain statistics, like say world population and so on. So on that particular lines, to create any report, you require some source or you require a data, and that particular data, right, can be present in various. So primarily all the business applications store huge volumes of data which exist in the database, but there will be at times, so that same data, right, which the client wants to see, that might be present in an Excel sheet or in a CSV file, or that might be present on a online. So using that particular thing also, you are going to create a report. So source means any of this thing can be a source in order for you to create a report. So when it comes to the source, right, source basically means, so in real time, so there are many different databases. So when I say databases, there are like, I mean, hundreds of databases. So I mean, to state you few, right? So you have Oracle. So this is a database of Oracle company. Then you have SQL Server. So this is a product. There is a, so this is a, I mean, a product of Microsoft. And apart from that, like you have DB2, so which is a product of IBM, and then you have say Netezza, a database, Teradata, Hadoop. So in this way, there are hundreds of vendors who have database, and MicroStrategy, right, is capable to support all the type of databases, So MicroStrategy can support any databases, and basically whenever you say certain clients, say for example you work for Citibank, you work for Bank of America, or you work for any insurance company, any retail store, right? So based on their particular business, they are going to choose a database. So these are the available databases or like proven databases in the market. So out of this particular databases, the client is going to prefer his based on his particular requirement. Say, okay, I require this or I require that, and so on basically. So say for example, now your database is Oracle, your database is DB2, anything. So basically there should be a connection, there should be some physical connection which we call as a ODBC connection. So there should be a connection from your database to MicroStrategy, then only you can pull the reports. So during the administration session, we'll also take an example in order to connect to the database, So now this particular, say, MicroStrategy, right? So using MicroStrategy, we need to have connectivity to some database in order to pull the reports. And that connectivity, right, is done by whom? Basically it is done by the administrator. Right, first, I mean, fine. So when there is some connection, then only you can start building up the reports. You can start building or you can start creating the reports. So this particular report creation, so where it is done basically and so on, right? So those things we'll see. So basically in MicroStrategy, we are saying we create reports. And to create this particular reports, right? So there should be some interface wherein you need to create the report. There should be some interface to create a report, and that particular interface in MicroStrategy is called as MicroStrategy Developer. MicroStrategy clear versions, right? So the same thing used to be called as MicroStrategy Desktop. MicroStrategy Desktop. So this particular MicroStrategy Developer which developers, which helps like architects to build the reports. You create your call MicroStrategy. So how will get this particular? So basically, whenever you install MicroStrategy, so during that particular thing, you get this particular MicroStrategy developer as one interface and or as a component. So apart from MicroStrategy developer, you will get MicroStrategy web. You will get something MicroStrategy web. So these are the two different components, two different interfaces or two different components. So one is say MicroStrategy developer and the other one is a MicroStrategy web. So these are the two different say components which we'll be using mostly. So one is use it or like where it will be there, I'll show you, but just try to understand. So in case of like I mean our personal, we install MicroStrategy in our machine, but when it comes to the real time, right, so all this particular installation, right, so this developer or entire MicroStrategy installation is taken care by whom basically is by your strategy administrator. So he is going to install MicroStrategy, and when he install this particular MicroStrategy, right, so automatically, right, you'll get this particular interfaces. So you need to take a license. So that license will be in crores and so on. So that is not like I mean the point we require. So this particular MicroStrategy, once we take care to provide MicroStrategy developer, there are the two basic components. And apart from these two components, there are various other administrative components as well. So that, yeah, probably, yeah, during the administrative sessions or something we'll take in. But for us, at least for a close to 30 hours from now, we require two different components. One is MicroStrategy developer and MicroStrategy web. So we'll just try to understand what MicroStrategy developer, what is web, and so on. So once you install, assume like you'll have that software, you want that, you can install in your machines, or else basically, right, so you'll have a VM basically from home also. You can just connect to that particular VM or server, and then you can just start practicing on the MicroStrategy. So but say for example, assume in my system I have installed MicroStrategy, assume. So once I install MicroStrategy, so just you need to go to start and then just simply click on all programs. So once you get to all programs, right, so you find, you just little bit scroll down and then you find different folders, and out of that particular folders, now you see a folder here, like two different folders highlighted. So one is MicroStrategy products and then MicroStrategy tools. And apart from that, MicroStrategy documentation means it provides some information about the tool. But like what is a important thing basically is, so first the products are important, and then the tools. During the administrative session we'll be learning that. So when we click on MicroStrategy products, there are like I mean different products, like you see command manager, developer, integrity manager, object manager, system manager, and web. So these are the two components, the second and then the last component, developer and web. These are the two components which belongs to a developer. and rest all components. When we say command manager, integrity manager, object manager, system manager, right? So this particular 4 components or products, they belong to administrative stuff. So now for a minute I'm just skipping up this command manager, integrity, object and system manager. So I'm just getting into this. So in order to like start building up your, you need to come to start all programs. Under all programs, MicroStrategy products. Under MicroStrategy products, you need to click on developer. So just simply click on this particular interface. So once you click on that interface, so it will ask you to key in a credentials. So we are working on a trial version. So whatever like you are seeing, right? So this is a trial version, and this particular trial version. So whenever you log in, so the default credentials will be the login ID will be administrator and the password will be blanks. So if you want to log in with your own name, like you want to create your own ID and so on, so that also will do it as part of administration. But as of now, we'll use the standard authentication, that is the login ID as administrator and the password as blank. So once you just key in that, right, so just click on OK. Right. So once you do it, then basically, so you see like I mean lot of things here. So all these things like probably in a coming days, once we get started with tool, right, so we'll just discuss, but ideally I want you to understand few concepts here. So now basically once you open an interface, right, so you see various folders here basically. So under this basically for a minute, right, so just assume like say once you install MicroStrategy, you get like this. Assume this is the higher level, like say you for today, right, if you want, assume you will have one folder, and then once you click on that particular folder, you get various different subfolders and so on. So now basically when we say some real-time example, so now assume this particular the starting, whichever is there at a level 1, right, so whichever is there at a higher level, so this is a project source, this is called technically a project source, or else just assume like say for example this is Citibank project, assume for a minute. So once you click on this particular thing, for Citibank there might be different types of reporting. Say that you may have loan system, you may have retail, or you may have brokerage reports and so on. So every one of them, whatever you see here, customer analysis module, financial reporting, HRA and so on, right? So all this are different projects. So say different project as in different modules. Like whenever you go to any bank, any retail, right? So you find different systems, different departments. So each department is a project. Each department is a project. And then when you take Citibank, it may have 30 projects, it may have 20 projects. But generally, when you are working on a project, right, from that particular 20 different projects, you'll be assigned to a single project to work on. So you'll be assigned to a single project to work on. Say for example, assume for a minute, so you have been assigned to a specific project, this one. So in this particular project, once you click on this particular plus symbol, you see various folders listed here, and two particular folders are like of very important to you. So those two are, you see here, public objects, and then you see schema objects. So you have public objects, then you do have schema objects. Under a project, you will have public objects and schema objects. And apart from that, at the top here, so just look at this option here. So you have something called administration. So once you click on this particular administration, there are different options listed here, like system monitors, then configuration managers, delivery managers, user manager and so on. So you want to create, as I said, when you log in, you want to enter with your name. So you have to create that particular user here. So you want to deliver this information to someone. How you want to deliver? Either to his mobile or else his email. That configurations has to be done here. And you want to connect to some database, and that database connections you have to set in here. And you want to monitor, you have executed 5-6 reports, like you may have 100 business users who may execute reports at same time. So all that particular reports can be monitored here. So all these particular things, they come under administration. and whatever object, right, you create here, these particular things are called configuration objects. So under administration, whatever object you are trying to create, right, they come under configuration objects. So you have configuration objects, then you have public objects, then you have schema objects. So these three are the key objects. So in MicroStrategy, we call everything as an object. So and then when we say a developer responsibility, so it will be a public objects. So people who work on public objects, so that will be the responsibility of a developer. So when I say MicroStrategy developer, so what is my role means I work on public objects. Similarly, when I say architect, what will be my responsibility means I work on schema objects. So when I say I'm an administrator, so I work on configuration objects. So in MicroStrategy, so there are three types of objects. So in MicroStrategy, so what we'll have basically is, so we'll have three types of objects. So what are that particular three types of objects you have? So one is, so what are the three type of objects we have? So one is the public objects. So we have public objects, and this is responsibility of whom? So this is a responsibility of the developer. And when we say the second one, right, we have schema objects. So whose responsibility is the schema objects? Basically means it is a responsibility of the architect. And then the third one you have is a configuration objects. Good. So you have configuration objects. So this particular things is a responsibility of the administrator. So in this way, MicroStrategy, right, have classified into three different roles, or in other words, three different objects basically. These are the three different objects. And now get into one of them. So what does public objects means? So what does, say for example, a schema objects means, and so on. So this is the responsibility of an admin. Okay, fine. So now you have three different types of objects, and that is good. So now you have this one. So now once I go to this interface, in my interface, if I click on this particular plus symbol here, so I could see a list of objects here. A list of objects here basically means, so you can just, the important thing, right, as a developer is you need to create a reports. You need to create a reports, and then in this particular reports, so once you create a reports, right, on the report you have to use various controls. You have to use various controls. Like say for example, you need to use say filters, you need to use metrics, prompts. So what is all these particular things, right? We will decide. For example, like filter means a condition. So if I run a report, it shows me data for 10 years, but instead of 10 years, right, I want to see data only for 1 year, or I want to see data for only 2 years. So on that particular thing, you need to apply some condition. So to apply that condition is called as a filter. So in this way, you create report, but on top of report, you need to apply various other objects, like whatever you see here, right? So you create a report and you are going to use that particular object. And then basically, there is another object which is a dashboard or a document. So once you are familiar with creating of reports and using of other controls, as I said yesterday, so you group related reports, means whichever reports are related, you group that on a single screen. So that particular thing in MicroStrategy we call as a document or dashboard. Document or dashboard, grouping of related reports. So when I say public objects, so what will be our scope means, so we need to know how to create reports. We need to know how to create reports. And while creating these particular reports, why don't you create a simple project? Because yeah, that is what like we have planned for 45 days. So all these particular things you cannot just create on a single, say 10 minutes or something. So to learn creating a project, all these things will go a step by step. because creating a project as of now you don't know the basic things. I just want to introduce the concepts to you. So again, to create a project, that is a responsibility of an architect. We don't know what is the responsibility of an developer itself yet, right? So first we'll start with developer. We don't know how to create report. In report, what are controls we require and many different things. So all things you'll have answers, but probably in some time. So today I just want to introduce, okay, this is what we require, this is what we require, or when we complete this particular course, okay, these are the different objects. So just an overview, and then probably as we get into deep, right, we'll learn all the things, whatever is 5 plus or a 6 plus percent. Okay, fine. So now, what is basically when I say developer, right, what will be our responsibility means? So to create a report, say for example, I just come here and then folder or new notepad and so on. So just at this particular place, right, on say empty space, you just right click, you get similar, option as what you get on your desktop. You just, so once you get to, so here it shows all the list of objects you can create in MicroStrategy. So the different objects which we'll be learning throughout our course. So how to create all these particular objects. So primarily I'm just getting into report. So in order to create a new report, so I just clicked on new report. I just want to, like, in order to create a basic report, right? So what is a minimum concepts we require, right? So all those particular concepts, we'll just get started from the next. I'm not sure like why the screen got stuck. A minute, give me a minute. Okay, meanwhile let's let it come up. So first thing is, like as I said, you have like 3 different objects, like one is public, the other one is schema, and then you'll have a configuration objects. So in that particular thing, so when I say public objects, stability will be on creating the reports. So you are going to create different reports, right? So on top of that particular reports, know how to format the reports, adding the reports, you need to know how to add the other controls or else the other objects. Can someone over there, right, in classroom, can you close this one while So fine, let me, again just reopen and then try to create up a basic report. So just I'm coming to say a developer. Right, so I'm just getting into say public objects. So everything here, right, will be a GUI basically, mostly drag and drop options here. So you just come over here, say simply right click, then go for new, and it shows all the list of objects you can create. But primarily I'm just getting into and here these are like various templates it shows up. So out of that particular templates, right,
Muted.
so I'm using up a blank report or a blank template. So it is as like when you create a new PowerPoint presentation and right, you get the different templates. So these are templates that comes up. And then it shows up different sections in a report. So all these things we'll just discuss once we start with MicroStrategy tool, probably after data warehousing concepts. So now basically you need to see data for some columns. Like whenever we say we want to create a report, so what does that mean is like for few columns the client wants to see the data, and that particular columns what we call basically in MSTR, right, or in data warehousing basically is we call them as dimensions and then metrics. So whereas when it comes to MicroStrategy, we refer them with the words like attributes and metrics. So this particular attribute and metric, they are the part of like data warehousing concepts. So you need to have these two, attributes and metrics, in order to create a basic report. So just I'll show you once, like say what will be your role is you need to create a report. First thing, so what report you want, you need to understand it. So accordingly you need to just select that column, just come here, just you need to double click on that column for which you want to see information. So just go to say for example metrics and then get to sales metric, and under this say for example you have a profit, and then you just scroll down and then you want to see data for some revenue and so on. So you want to analyze whatever column you want, right? In this way you can just add like as many number of columns you wanted. So once you create this particular thing, okay, I want to see data for this column, this. So once you create it, right, you need to see the result. In order to see the result, simply you need to just come over here and then say you click on this particular run. So once you click on this particular run, right, so the control goes to the database, and from the database it is going to pull the data. Okay, so this is my item wise, so profit, and then say for example a revenue. So total you see 360 items, like at the bottom, right, you could see the count, how many rows you have and so on. So I want to see, in a better view instead of like seeing all these things, right? So I want to see category wise item. So on a simple right click, then you get various options. Alright, so all these options, today I just want to show it. So once you click on books, only books items will come up. So you want to see some other items, right? So you just click on electronics, then it is going to show you, the report is going to show you the electronic items. So in this way you want to see music related items, you just select that one. So in this way you can just customize your report. Once you develop it however you want, you can just do it. So once you are running the report, so you created or you designed a report by placing category, item, then profit, and then revenue. So now where this data is present, basically the electronics or else whatever you are seeing over here like Panasonic, Pioneer and so on, right? So the entire data is present in a database, So from where it is getting this particular data, I'll just show you. So you have books, you have electronics, you have movies, and then music, right? So you have 4 different things that is getting displayed. So as soon as you are running the report, right, So the control, right, whenever you click on this one, the control is going to the database. The control is going to the database. So now once you install MicroStrategy, the tutorial MicroStrategy you install in your machine, right? So automatically a sample database also gets installed in your machine. So people have worked on sample Oracle or sample SQL Server, right? So there will be a predefined tables. So similarly for MicroStrategy also. So I'll just show you. So once you get into say my computer, then say for example you get to C drive. Under C drive you have say program files. So under program files you see different folders. Under this you can see a folder, you can locate a folder like MicroStrategy. Just click on that particular MicroStrategy, and under MicroStrategy, right, there will be various different folders listed here, the tool related. So there will be a tutorial reporting. Under this particular tutorial reporting, you just scroll down towards the last, right? So basically you have a database like tutorial data. So this particular database, whatever we use sample for our practicals of a course, right, is Microsoft Access. So by default you get a Microsoft Access, but you want to just practice on Oracle or SQL Server, I'll just tell you the steps how to do that as well. So now under category, right, so this is a category table. So if you look at category table here, you see books, electronics, movies and music. And then you will have item table. You'll have all the tables listed here. Means the data is present here in the database. And whatever data is present in the database, so what you are doing is you are pulling that into the report. You are pulling that or you're getting that onto the report basically. So that is what, like you'll have a database, one or multiple. From that particular database, you are going to bring the data into report, and this reports you are going to give client. You are going to give the client. So that is what like the main thing we do. But in order to create the report, basically basic report, right, we require these columns, attributes, and then we require metrics. So okay, so let me tell you, say for example, when I run this particular report, so it is giving me data for electronics, movies, or all four categories. But instead of these four categories, I want to get data only for few or like only for one particular category. Whenever someone runs this report, he should not see any other category. He should see only electronics, for which you need to apply some condition. You need to apply some condition, and that particular condition, right? To apply that condition, you'll have a different objects in MicroStrategy. Say under the public objects, so once you go to public objects, there will be various different folders. So you have filters using which you can apply condition. And then say from one level of data you want to see another level of data, we make use of a drill maps. So you want to do certain formatting and so on, you make use of auto styles. And there are some concept called as derived elements. So in order to create derived elements, we use consolidation custom group. So every object, whatever you see here, they have a specific purpose. But once you create any object, bottom line, just remember, you have to use on the report. You have to use on the report. So throughout our initial 20 hours of MicroStrategy session will be to create reports. And then what we do basically, first we'll understand how to create a basic report and understand the different sections in a report, how to do basic formatting, and once we are comfortable with that particular stuff, then we are going to create other objects and we should know how to use them on the reports. So when I say developer course means you should know reports, and then you should know how to create other objects and then use on the reports. So once it is done, using 3 or 4 reports which are related, you should know how to create documents and dashboard. So this is what the key thing which you'll be learning as part of public objects. And when I say schema objects, so what does that particular schema object means? So on the report, as I said, you need to place attribute. So that particular attribute, or when I say the minimum things you place on your report is attributes and metrics. So what is attribute metric? That is a part of data warehousing concepts. We'll be discussing from next session. So these metrics again is in the data warehousing. So that particular fact and then attributes are the key things. And that attributes and then facts, where they exist means they exist in the tables. They are present. Those are in simple, those are columns. Attributes and facts are called columns. So when we say in normal database, right, you might at least know a basic thing like, okay, whenever I say table, table means a collection of rows and columns, collection of rows and columns. So here also in data warehousing, so whenever I say tables, right, so the tables, you'll have two types here, not one type. So you'll have dimension tables and then you'll have fact tables. So using that particular tables, you create something called attributes and then you create facts. And there will be certain attributes which will be related like year, quarter, month, day, or like country, region, state, city. So between that particular related attributes, you are going to create something called hierarchies. So what I mean to say basically is, once the database is created by the database team, so there will be a different team, the database team who creates the database, and that particular database, right, so once this particular database is created, so that particular database, you have to replicate that in MicroStrategy. Means you need to get that tables, and then on top of tables you need to create facts. You need to create, because facts is required to create metrics, attributes is required to display data on the report, whereas the relationship is established using hierarchies. So during the starting phase, architect is a person who is going to start the project, architect and administrator, because the connection, everything is taken care by your administrator. So during, say if it is a new project, who will work first means architect and administrator. Administrator has to take care of that connection stuff, and your architect should bring the tables, he has to create facts, he has to create attributes, he has to create hierarchies. So once these objects are created, then only as a developer you can start working on public objects. So people who work on this particular objects, right, so that will be the responsibility of an architect, or else those comes under schema objects. So tables, you need to create tables, and then on top of tables you need to create columns. That columns we technically called here as attributes and facts. And between a columns, related columns, you need to establish a relationship which is called hierarchies. So that will be the primary responsibility of an architect. And creating reports and creating various objects that are used on the report is a public objects. And apart from that, so you just come over here and then you just select this one. So under this basically, so whenever we say user, right, so you want to log in with your own credentials, you can create an user like you with your name, you can create a user, or else you can create one group. Say basically, so in case of a bank, there will be different levels like regional managers, then like say branch manager, clerks, and so on. So basically I want to put all clerks in one group, then I want to give one access, same level of access. I want to put all managers at one group, and then I want to provide some access and so on. So in this way what you can do is you can create one group like bank managers, and within that particular group you can create how many users you want. So that particular creation of users and then creation of groups. So that is the main responsibility of user manager, and that things comes as part of the configuration objects. So your administrator is a person who creates user, who creates a groups. And apart from that, as I said, right, so whenever you want to send a report to a user, right, so it has to be transmitted, for which you need to have certain devices. So whether you want to send that particular report to an email, or like say in an Outlook, or else you want to send to his particular mobile, or you want to send to some say shared location, you want to send to a printer. So all these particular things we have to configure. I mean, we need to know different details like a server and so on. So that is like the details will be given. So this again, configuration of devices is done by your administration. So then you just click on this configuration manager. Under this there are various different things. So there is a schedule, like you put alarm in your like mobile, right? So that is called schedule. So you want to run a report at specific time. Instead of you running manually, the report has to be automatically executed. So that particular thing schedule is created by your administrator. So then you need to connect to some database like Oracle, SQL Server, anything. There should be some similar to schedules. There will be event. So based on some action, okay. Say once a report 1 got executed, automatically it has to run report 2. Or once the database load is completed, it has to refresh the intelligent cube or something. So that is something called, events. Then assigning the security. Say for example, you are a manager, you'll have some security. You are a clerk, you'll have different security and so on. So all that particular security on the users is again defined by your administrator, and which languages you want data. So basically MicroStrategy is a multilingual. It supports all languages. Like once you have data on English, as you do in a Google Translator, right? The same thing can be done or can be changed in their own native language. Let's say people from Chinese or Japan, right? They prefer in their own native language. So even that is possible, right? So you can just go for this particular multilingual. And apart from that, say whenever you are going to say run multiple reports, you as in there are various users who runs a report. So that particular reports you want to monitor, for which, right, you just make use of a system monitors and then clustering. Like when you have multiple servers, then you do a clustering, and then basic the installation of the MicroStrategy tool itself, and then you want to change from one version, you want to upgrade to other version. So all these things are taken care by the administrator. So in this way, so based on the responsibilities, right? So MicroStrategy has classified 3 different roles: developer, architect, and admin. And then what we do basically is, as part of our course, we have to be experts in developer. So because any person, right, should know in and out of developer. So that is the primary thing. And then you should be good in architect. You should be good in architect, and then a partial skills of administrator will add weightage to your resume. Will add weightage to your resume. But again, right, so in order to learn MicroStrategy, right, fine. So then why we require data warehouse basically means on the report, if you remember, right, I was placing attribute and then I was placing metric. So that particular attribute and then metric, right? So what is attribute, what is metric, we don't know, and then blindly we cannot go ahead and create reports. So for that particular thing, we need to know certain concepts. We need to know certain concepts as like what does this particular attribute means, or what is this particular metric means, or to create a metric, why we require facts, why we require facts. So for that particular, all these particular things, right? So what is that particular solution to understand them basically is, so you need to know how your database is structured, or else we need to know data warehousing concepts. So these are the key things in the data warehousing concepts. So we'll come across basically what is attributes, what is attributes, and then apart from that, what are facts, and then what are metrics, and then just now we have seen something table, right? Under table there will be some tables called dimension tables, and then you will have a tables called a fact tables, and apart from fact tables, between related reports you need to establish a relationship which is called schema. So these are the data warehousing concepts you need to be familiarized. And data warehousing, basically before we come to data warehouse, so first thing what you need to understand basically is the data warehousing life cycle or the BI architecture. Yesterday I have shown you one diagram. So that thing you need to understand in detail how the business is happening. So for which you require something called OLTP versus OLAP, online transactional processing or online analytical processing. So this is the first thing you need to understand. So once you understand what is data warehousing means, data warehousing comes under OLAP. So once you understand OLTP versus OLAP, so what are these two different databases, why we require these two different databases in real-time world, then you need to understand OLAP, because this OLAP means it is a data warehousing. So under data warehousing, you need to understand all these particular concepts. So then only it makes sense for you to create a reports. You need to understand how the data is present at the back end, how the data is present at the backend means what does this particular attribute means, what does fact means, what is a metric, all these concepts. So once you are familiar, then only we can start on the MicroStrategy front. And yesterday, as I said, I mean data warehousing concepts is a mandatory to get started with MicroStrategy, and all these particular concepts I am going to teach you. And then whereas SQL, as I said, probably in a 10 days time, so you need to just get refreshed on the basic of SQL. If not, you need to spend one weekend, probably next weekend. So let's see on that. So now basically, if you look at this particular tool here, so I haven't done anything, or everything was a drag and drop. Then I used to click on run report. But when I clicked on that particular run report, I'm telling that the report went to database, and then it has fetched this data, whatever you are seeing on the report. So now to get or to interact with any database, the language it requires is SQL. The language it requires is SQL. So that particular SQL is mandatory. So whatever you learn under data warehousing umbrella, so be it ETL, be it data warehouse, be it reporting. So you need, under reporting, you need to know a basic SQL. Basic SQL. When you say you are working on some database like Oracle, Teradata, you should be expert in SQL. And then you are working on Informatica like data stage, ab initio, and so on. So you need to have like intermediate knowledge on the SQL. So basically, so reporting tool is one which requires a basic SQL, ETL require an intermediate SQL, and the data warehouse you require experts in SQL. So here there is not much complications here. The reason is you run a report, fine, that is fine. You deliver it to client, then client comes back and says that, okay, this data is incorrect. Then what you need to understand, looking at this report, it will not help you. So you need to understand basically, so whenever you run this particular report, any report, the report or the tool itself is going to generate the SQL. The tool itself is going to generate the SQL, and that particular SQL, if at all you want to view it, so just next to the run button, there are different options, out of which you have an option called as SQL view. So once you get to the SQL view, so you just scroll little bit down on this particular window. So what you see basically is you see different tables accessed, and you see the query already created by the tool. So only the thing you need to understand is, okay, how to analyze this particular thing. You just select this particular, analyze this particular query, copy this one, paste in database, and see in the database whether the data is similar or whether there is a different data. If so, we have to troubleshoot it. How to troubleshoot it, I'll tell you. But generally, right, before you give to client itself, you have to validate the report. You have to validate the report. That validation of a report is called unit testing. The validation of a report is called unit testing. So you are developing a report, means you are creating a report. So after you create directly, you don't give to user. You have to test yourself. And that particular testing is called as unit testing. So as part of unit testing, so you need to analyze the SQL created by your particular tool, and then run in the database and see whether the database data is matching with the report. If not, there are certain areas for us to debug. So all these particular things will be seen. So first thing, I just want to, so whatever I just want to tell you today, the basic stuff is, what is a prerequisites, means before we get started with MicroStrategy. So why OLTP OLAP is required to understand the data warehousing concepts. So under this particular thing, OLAP is again to get started with data warehousing, you need to know what is that one, and then to start with MicroStrategy, right? We start with public objects, and this particular public objects is going to take most of the time. So the public objects takes around say 20 hours. So, and then probably a schema objects takes close to 10 hours, and then probably it is, so I say here, like you can put +5 or 25 on public objects, and then 10 on the schema objects, and 5 hours on the configuration objects. So altogether it comes to 40 hours, and then the data warehousing concepts, all this OLTP, OLAP, then data warehousing concept, all this, right? So it takes close to 4 to 5 hours. So that is how, like probably I said yesterday, So it is going to take around 45 different hours. So I mean, this is what I want to share as part of today's session. So probably we'll keep this particular session open for next 10 minutes. So it's 10:20 Indian time, 10:20 a.m. So any particular question anyone have, probably you can ask me this particular 10 days. So if not, we'll just finalize on how many hours we require daily session. We'll go with majority, and if so, what is the time frame? All these things will decide, and then probably from next class, right? So we'll just get stuck to that particular timelines. So first thing, any questions? First, like I mean, let's keep this particular open for 5 minutes.
Unmuted.
Questions you can ask that questions.
Any questions, sir?
raw data ఉంటుంది సో రా డేటా అప్లోడ్ చేయాలి ఫస్ట్ సో అప్లోడ్ చేసిన తర్వాతనే మనకి రిపోర్ట్ చేయడానికి
Media file. Okay, to answer Ranjit,
యా హాయ్
media file place that basically, right? So we'll see in a like I mean couple of days we'll section on MSTR installation, and the second point is you will have we'll install in a VM server this weekend, and we'll share credentials. But again, as I say, right, so probably first 4 to 5 hours will be theoretical stuff. So before that, like everything will be finalized and the credentials will be shared to you, so that you can just connect to that server and then start on the practical stuff. And then on will you give any tasks to perform offline, so that we get more doubts onto. So definitely you will have that, like I mean task, basically you will have many different assignments. Probably I think you may get bored on assignments as well, on like the number of assignments you get it. And then yeah, on the recording front, yeah, like we'll be sharing the recordings, but basically after your class completion, say this particular class will be recorded, and the same recording will be shared you on the same day. Post the class, we have Upinder will be doing that particular thing. So once I have like all your email IDs with me, so I'll be sharing that the recordings.
Yeah, hi sir. This is a question from the classroom.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, actually, for preparing reports,
Yeah, tell me.
first of all, like we need to upload a raw data, right?
Yeah. So right. So that particular raw data, right? When you are doing a transaction, like say for example, you get into ATM, assume for a minute, you are withdrawing some amount for the ATM. So that basically whatever data, right? So that will be a raw data. First, that particular raw data will come and store in a system called as OLTP. If you look at Notepad, right? So first what it does is it comes and stores in the OLTP database. So this OLTP means online transaction processing database. So whatever transaction you are doing, that transaction gets processed in the OLTP system. So on a day you do 10 transactions, right? The 10 transactions will come and store in the OLTP system. So after that, what happens basically is every day, say for example, if a bank is open from 8 till 5, so after 5, say probably after 2 hours or something, a closure of the bank, So at 7 a.m. or 8 p.m. there will be some set of ETL jobs that will be running. So that ETL jobs are going to, what they do basically is that ETL jobs are going to load the data into data warehouse, or which is called as OLAP. So here, and then in your OLTP also there will be a database team who is going to work to put your data in the structured format, but you'll have lot of data present there. Out of that data, whatever data is required for the user or whatever is required for the business user which helps in, you are going to pull that particular data and show it to the client.
Okay. And like for preparing reports, we took some databases of columns like cost, revenue, profit, etc. Right?
Right.
Like,
So yeah.
yeah, those are based upon the raw data, or they are predefined.
Right. So those things we need to come here. Basically, if you look at these concepts here, right? So that cost, that whatever you said, profit, revenue, right? All these are columns. When you know a basic database, you might have your tables like columns as cost. When you go to a retail store, they give you a bill. What it contains? It contains item, and then what is that particular sales amount they have charged on that particular thing, unit price. So their item, serial number, and then your bill, whatever the amount it is, right? All those are columns basically. So that columns in data warehousing we refer as attributes and facts. So those are not predefined. So those has to be present in the tables. So you'll have some tables. In that particular tables, you'll have the columns like 20 columns, 30 columns based on the size of the table. So on that particular tables, whichever is required for your reporting, you need to create attributes or facts or whatever you are saying, cost, revenue, profit, right? Those comes under what basically is, those comes under facts. And when I say customer, when I say employee and so on, right? So all those particular things comes under attributes. So for this one, we need to understand the data warehousing concepts in short. We need to understand attributes, facts, all these things. Then basically all these particular columns, they are not predefined. We have to create it ourselves and then use on top of the reports.
Okay, thank you. And like how much time it will take to like upload a raw data into OLTP?
Basically, say for example, you take a bank. A bank does transactions like you take ICICI or many different banks, right? They do within 2 hours. Like once your transaction is done, there will be a cycle running 2 hours and that gets updated into the bank. But say for example, if it is a retail store, they don't require 2 hours frequency. So what they can do is that entire day they can collect it, and during their night time they can store in their particular database. So that is how that is. But again, to come into OLTP, it does in fraction of seconds. You do a transaction, it comes and stores in the OLTP system. But from OLTP system to OLAP system, based on your domain, if your domain is banking or insurance, probably within 2 hours or 3 hours in a cycle they come and sit in a OLAP system. If it is a retail, it comes and sits in a day. If it is something related to media, like you watch TV and then that particular advertisement, how many seconds are captured, right? So that particular information they can load in a week. So based on what type of domain it is, right? So they are going to load the data accordingly.
Okay. And one more question, like do we have any other tool to get the data from OLTP to OLAP?
OLTP to OLAP, we have ETL tools like all Informatica, you might have heard Informatica, Data Stage, Ab Initio, SSIS, Teradata Utilities, PLSQL script, all these particular things are used for moving the data from OLTP to OLAP system. So people who are learning ETL tools, extract, transform and load. So who are learning ETL, so their work is to bring data from OLTP and then to load data into OLAP system.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. You're welcome.
ఎవరు ఇంట్రెస్ట్ ఉందో తప్ప లైబ్రరీ అవన్నీ బాగుంటాయి ఎవరు ఎత్తుకుని డాక్టర్ తెలుగు చెప్పారు అడుగుంచండి డెబ్బై 50 బాగుంది డేటా వచ్చిన తెలుగు
So guys, are on online, right? I mean, say we don't have any more questions.
Yeah, sir. No questions. Classroom.
Okay, so no questions here also. Then the question here is, can we start the session at 9:30 Eastern time? Because now it's 12 a.m. 12 a.m. Okay, so can I start means, yeah, I got it. Okay, fine. So let me tell you one thing. Basically, one second. So I mean, Upender, like, I mean, can you check once, like, over there, right? What time they are comfortable for coming to the session?
అంటే 7 అంటే మార్నింగ్ నుంచి సార్ మార్నింగ్ సెషన్
ఐ మీన్ ఎప్పుడైనా పర్లేదు. మార్నింగ్ 7కి అయితే 7, లేదు అంటే నేను చెప్తాను అండి ఒకసారి. నాకు ఏంటి అంటే డైలీ నాకు ఆఫీస్లో కాల్ ఉంటుంది.
ఓకే సార్.
మీ టైం 8:30, మీ టైం 8:30 to 9 ఉంటుంది. నాకు ఇండియా టైం మార్నింగ్ 8:30 to 9 స్టేటస్ కాల్ ఉంటుంది. సో ఆ హాఫ్ అన్ అవర్ తప్ప అయితే 7 to 8:30 అయినా కావాలి ఇండియా టైం. లేదు అని అంటే 9 o'clock ఇండియన్ టైం, 9 to 10:30 అయినా కావాలి. సో 2 options, 7 to 8:30 or
7 to 8:30,
9 to 10:30.
చెప్పండి.
7 to 8:30 is better. Like, you know, he's working in the US, right? So 10:30 is like
ఓకే, సార్కి అయితే పర్వాలేదు. మీరు ఏ టైమింగ్ చెప్తున్నారు సార్ ఇప్పుడు 2 టైమింగ్స్, ఏ టైమింగ్స్ అయినా మీకు ప్రాబ్లం లేదు సార్, అదే చెప్తున్నారు కదా.
నేను 12కి పడుకుంటా, నా గురించి ఏం ఆలోచించకండి. 10:30, 11 అయినా ప్రాబ్లం లేదు.
అంటే లేడీస్ ఉన్నారు కదా వాళ్ళు.
Do you also work అంటే? Yeah, I work. So teaching is something I like. That's the reason I teach. But generally, yeah, I work in office.
ప్రాబ్లం అవుతుందండి.
Question to Pradeep. Okay.
అంటే మళ్ళీ ఆఫీస్ కి వెళ్ళి, ఎందుకంటే మేము లాంగ్ నుంచి చూస్తున్నాం. నేను ఎగ్జామ్ పేపర్ నుంచి లేదు, మీరు 2 సెషన్స్ పెట్టుకోవడానికి 7 to 9 పెట్టుకోవచ్చు. అలా
మీ టైమింగ్స్ కరెక్ట్ చెప్తే చేద్దామండి. అందరూ చెప్తున్నారు కదా, టైమింగ్స్ చెప్పాలి, చెప్పండి. అంటే 7 అనేది మీకు కరెక్ట్ టైం సెట్ కాదు మీ ఇద్దరికి. మీరండి ప్రాబ్లం లేదు, కరెక్టే కానీ వాళ్ళ కన్సర్న్స్ కూడా మనం చూడాలి కదా. ఎందుకంటే లేడీస్ కదా, వాళ్ళు కూడా అక్కడ నుంచి. మీకంటే 8, మీకు 9 to 10:30 ప్రాబ్లం లేదా?
We are working the same time.
Nice.
At least 1 hour time spent but time of the then you can ready and get into class.
But could rest తీసుకోవాలి అట్లా వరకు 9 కి స్టార్ట్
most of the people second timing వేరే క్లాసెస్ కూడా వెళ్ళే వాళ్ళు ఉన్నారు. లైక్ 10 o'clock కి అలా మళ్ళీ వేరే క్లాసెస్ స్టార్ట్ అవుతాయి.
అంటే ఒక 1 month అట్లా మీరు అడ్జస్ట్ చేసుకున్నారు. మీరు వర్కింగ్ ఎంతమంది అండి? ఏమన్నా అడ్జస్ట్ చేసుకోలేదండి నేను ఇప్పుడు ఇట్లా కొద్దిగా మీరు ఇది ఒక, ఎందుకంటే బ్యాచ్ లో అవునవును ఎందుకంటే అప్పుడే వీళ్ళు అంతే కొంతమంది రాలేదన్నమాట ఫెస్టివల్.
హలో
సార్, ఓకే సార్, ఆఫ్టర్ విల్ డిస్కస్ విల్ టెల్ యూ.
ఓకే, డిస్కస్ కాదు, నేను ఇక్కడ వేరే వాళ్ళకి కూడా అప్డేట్ చేయాలి. సో అందుకోసం సరే మీరు మాట్లాడి నాకు ఒకసారి కాల్ చేయండి, నేను ఇక్కడ వాళ్ళకి నేను అప్డేట్ చేస్తాను.
ఓకే సార్, ఓకే సార్,
fine. Okay, yeah, fine, you can just drop off. And one more thing, yeah guys, like I mean say there are like I mean say another 4 to 5 members will be joining from say Monday Indian time. So tomorrow and day after tomorrow we don't have say any session. say I mean when it comes to US, like Friday and Saturday, so we'll have again next session data warehousing concepts. The first session basically we'll have from Sunday night, and on the timings, right? So mostly I think it will be on the central timings, same thing, but we'll start a bit 15 minutes earlier. So instead of 9:45 p.m. I'll start it say 9:30. So 9:30 till sorry, I mean 8:30. Yeah, 9:30 till probably 11. This particular times we'll just have it. So and then on Pradeep, right? So probably right, you need to adjust. That is what I say, because even I do it till 12. So I think 1 hour overlap between you and us. So just get adjust to that particular thing. Mostly it will be that, but if there is something, I'll let you know. But 99% it will be the same timings, 9:30 till 11. So daily we'll have 1.5 hour, and then we'll see how things are going. So if you are good, then probably we'll extend by half an hour, but not first 5 days, because the basics are very key thing, and you don't understand if I say more than 1.5 hour, at least for basic concepts. Once we get into the like reporting stuff, then we create reports. During that phase, yeah, probably 2 hours also we can do it, but again we'll see how it goes. And then probably another thing I want to bring is, like on the weekend also we'll have sessions. So this time what happens is basically there are like 4 to 5 persons will be joining fresh from Monday. So we have this particular break on this particular Saturday, or like for here Friday and Saturday. But once we start from Monday our timings, or Monday India timings, will not have any breaks. Like there is no Saturday, no Sunday. So that I can say, wherever you are, just connect online and then attend. But there will not be any breaks as such for this particular batch. Just I want to tell it at the starting. Say 1 or 2 day off, like you want to practice certain concept, you are filled up, it's fine, absolutely fine. But no any official holidays as such till your course completion, because there are good calls, and then probably we want you to upload your resumes, and then start like searching for the jobs. So on that particular lines, yeah, it's tough for me not to take break. So even everyone, right? So just keep that particular thing from Monday Indian time or Sunday our time, there is no break. Daily we'll have 1.5 hour session. So okay then, thanks all. We'll just catch up on our Sunday night at 9:30 p.m. Fine.
ఇక్కడ వాళ్ళకి ఓకే సార్.
So okay then, thanks all. Yeah, thanks all your time. Yeah, have a good day over there, and good night for the persons who have joined from US.
సార్
చెప్పండి.
అదే సార్ మండేనా సార్? రేపు మనకు ఆ 4-5 మెంబర్స్ రావాలి కదా
ఆన్ మండే రోజు.
ఓకే, మండే 9:15 సార్.
9కి
9 AM. ఓకే సార్.
మండే నుంచి 9 AM నుంచి 10:30 AM 1.5 అవర్ చెప్తాను మండే నుంచి.
ఓకే సార్.
ఏ బ్రేక్ ఉండదు, నేను మొబైల్కి కాల్ చేస్తాను మీకు.
ఓకే సార్.
ఓకే అండి. యా,
ఓకే, థ్యాంక్ యూ సార్. గుడ్ నైట్ ఆల్.